A very good evening to you watching us today, this beautiful Saturday here on West Nile TV. Happy New Year. I know this is the first time we are meeting this year. Last weekend, for some reason, we didn't make it here. But either way, thank you for joining us on today's discussion here on West Nile TV. I know the year has begun well for some people, and for some it hasn't been a very good year. But however, you can still pick up it if it's not a good one. If your plans have not started the way you had intended it to start, you can still draw new plans. And for us who are having a very good year, we continue to pray for good health and all those other things that we wish to achieve this year. And if you have joined us for the very first time on this discussion, this is The Real Talk with me, Lillian Ayot, every Saturdays here on West Nile TV. Don't forget, we are on Zuku channel 0073, and you can catch us live, stream us on our Facebook and our YouTube channel of West Nile TV, where you can let us know what you think about today's topic of discussion, because every Saturdays we are here discussing one thing to the other, getting your opinion, seeing how we can handle some issues, find solutions to some of the challenges we face within ourselves. And today we take on a very interesting topic that concerns each and every one of us. I know we have had discussions on mental health before, and today specifically we are zeroing down to trauma. I know this is not the first time you are hearing this, and some people take it lightly, some people don't. Trauma has to do with how someone responds to some events, especially terrible events, and name it accidents, rape, natural disaster, among other things. And there's a way people respond. Different people respond differently to trauma. There are people who just experience it, go into shock and then recover, but there are people who never recover or take long to recover. That is just to say different people deal differently with different things. We've had incidences where maybe someone doesn't want to be out in the dark because maybe something happened to them, and then when the lights go out, and they tend to react a certain way, and some people feel they are overreacting, but you basically don't know what this person is experiencing at that time. So today in this discussion we have one gentleman who is a mental health advocate, and he's here with us to tackle this topic. And of course, thank you for joining us, you of course the viewer, on this topic of discussion. Do share the links with your friends so that we all catch this and do not miss on any of this information. In one way or the other, we have been traumatized, maybe we just didn't recognize it, and after today's discussion you'll be able to tell whether you've been traumatized or not, and how you can deal with it, how you can tell someone is traumatized, and how you can help this person get through the traumatic event they experienced in the past. You are most welcome to West Nile TV. Do let our viewer know you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lillian. Thank you very much, viewers. My name is Michael Kalisa. I'm a mental health advocate. I work with Voice of Restoration International. We're based in Arua here. I'm very glad to be here because the topic we're discussing, mental health and trauma, is something which is underrated, something which is not talked about enough. And I'm very glad to be here with you to discuss this thing, because it affects so many of us. Some of us are even unaware that it's happening to us. Some of us take trauma to be something very light, but it affects every decision you make. So I'm here on Real Talk with Lillian so that we can discuss.
Okay, thank you so much. Michael Kalisa is his name, for joining us on this topic today. I know, yeah, like you said, people don't take mental health related issues very serious. Before we go to touch the topic of today, I'm curious, what made you become a mental health activist? That is okay to talk about it.
What made me become is it's something more personal. I have friends. I had two friends who both went through this thing of a mental health problem. and one of them unfortunately passed away because they didn't get the attention they needed. Everyone thought maybe they're using drugs and they're using this alcohol because of whatever reason they thought. But this friend of mine was very, very depressed, and even us, his friends, we didn't know what was going on in their lives. So he used to use a lot of alcohol, used to use marijuana, never used to sleep at home, used to stay on the streets, and he died on these streets.
Okay.
Like, it happened one day and they woke us up and told us, by the way, your friend was found on the streets dead. And up to today, no one has explained, even to the family, how this happened. Even us, we don't know what happened. All we know is he went. So from that time, I became very curious. I'm like, if someone I would meet and talk to, and I'd never know what's going on in their lives, just dies like that, how many more of us don't know what's really going on? So I got interested. I got to read about mental health, and I realized very many people don't know about it. Even I was ignorant about it. So I got passionate into that, and because I work in humanitarian work, I focused on this mental health thing because I love to help people, and I lost a friend to this. So I felt like no one else should lose a friend because of ignorance. If we can advocate more, let people know that they don't have to go extreme. They can talk to someone before things go very bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so sad to learn that your friend passed on, that he didn't get the kind of help that he deserved. And believe me, there are very many people outside there who are battling mental health problems. They don't have people to talk to. And also there are many of us out there who are very harsh with their words. You're making someone's life miserable just with the kind of things that you say. So this calls for a little bit of kindness as you relate with people. As you're out there talking to people, people are battling a lot of things that we need to show them more support and more love. And by the way, I'm also a mental health advocate, and it's a nice thing
All of
to
us
be
should
able to talk to someone and help them through their problems. Back to the topic of discussion today, trauma that most people also don't give attention to, but it's also deeply killing a lot of people out there silently, like I said, silently, and we'll get to understand why it's killing people silently. Kalisa, kindly paint us a picture of what trauma is. What is trauma, and who is affected by trauma?
Trauma is a normal reaction to an abnormal circumstance. It's in layman's language, trauma is anything that's upsetting, something sudden, something unexpected, which affects people's lives. And just like mental health, trauma happens to you and you may not know it is happening to you. For example, you may be in an accident and you have 4 people in the car, you get an accident, then you're the only survivor in that car. Everyone may say you're a lucky person because you survived the accident, the others passed away, but the trauma you stay with could also make you even live an unfulfilled life. For example, from that day on, your life might stop because all you think about, the images you keep getting, seeing your friends or your family or whoever you're with in that car die. So others may see you as a lucky person, but for you dealing with all those bad feelings, like I wish I was the one who had died instead of this person. I wish I wasn't in that car. I wish we had started the journey earlier or later. So all those questions, sometimes people keep them to themselves. So you find someone's everyday life is affected by decisions which come about because of trauma. They may lose empathy. They may become resentful. Someone may hate to ever enter a car again. Someone may not want to sit in a certain seat in a car because the last time they were in that seat they got an accident. So trauma is basically a sudden unpleasant situation which happens and affects someone's mental well-being. Like I like to compare mental health to like body health. If you don't feed your body well, if you don't rehydrate your body, if you don't exercise and rest well, of course your body won't function properly. So like the mind also, you need to feed the mind well. You need to refresh that mind. Now if the mind is clogged with any traumatic experience, you won't be able to make correct decisions in life because of all the trauma. So most people don't understand that as much as you feed your body, the mind has to be fed even more, because the mind controls what the body does. That is
interesting.
Yeah.
Just from the example that you have given, someone may not want to enter the car again, or maybe sit on a particular seat because maybe the last time they were there they got into an accident. So that explains like how people react to some of these things. I know that people who never enter the car again after such experiences. So what are some of the forms, maybe types, levels of trauma?
Okay, trauma can be categorized basically into three. There is acute trauma, chronic trauma, and complex trauma. Acute trauma is this is trauma which happens because of a single incident. I'm again going back to the example of the accident. If this happens once and then maybe you don't get enough counseling and someone to get you out of that phase of, we got this accident, let's move on, let's forget and forgive over the mistakes so we can move on. That's like, it happens once, a single incident. Now chronic trauma is when something is recurring, especially, I can give an example of gender-based violence or domestic violence, whereby your wife or a husband, but mostly it's the wife who faces getting beaten less in a relationship. So if every day you go back home and your husband is beating you, or like you're a child in a home and every day your parents are beating on you, that is chronic trauma, because it doesn't happen once and goes away like the accident thing. This one happens every day, and it's worse because for it, every day the person is traumatized. Let's say if it gets to evening time, they know, my husband is coming back, so the person just becomes numb, because they know, well, I'm going to get beaten today, and then tomorrow I'll get beaten. It becomes normal to them. It becomes normal for them to be mistreated because, well, that's the norm of the day. Then there is complex trauma. Complex trauma is, how can I define complex trauma? Like the word itself, it's a mixture of chronic and acute trauma, right? Like it's every day, or it's consistent, but also it is extreme.
Extreme, and you're dealing with different types of trauma.
Yeah, and then you get,
aside from let's say child abuse, and then you're seeing your parents being beaten, among other things.
Exactly. So if you're a child in a home and you're being beaten for, in African society, we allow children to be punished.
Some parents overdo.
Yeah, but there's overdoing it, or there's doing it unnecessarily. There is like a stepmom. If you live in a home and there's a stepmother or a stepfather who doesn't like the children who are not his or hers, and then they're beating on you because of that. Then maybe you're being sexually abused by an uncle in the family. Then maybe you go to school and you're being your fellow students demoralizing you. So it's too complex. You're dealing with this trauma. This one is hitting you, the other one is hitting. That's very dangerous, because that one can lead to self-harm. Most people feel unworthy of life. They feel, at home I'm not getting the love I'm supposed to get. At school I'm not getting the love I'm supposed to get. With my friends I'm not getting the love I'm supposed to get. So if that is inbuilt in someone, in the end that person becomes bad. Society itself makes you become a bad person, because you're not getting the appropriate love and care you're supposed to be getting, and you're not talking to anyone. So the more it builds up, that's what we call complex trauma. Like, that's when sometimes you go to the doctor and like, now for you, you're a special case, because we have to deal with this and that and that. So
all right, thank you for putting that straight, the different types of trauma that people can go through. Now, if you've just joined the discussion, we've been explaining what trauma is here with Michael Kalisa, looking at what it is. We've all experienced that event where we freeze. Just thinking about it makes you freak out, like you feel, I don't want to go through this again, or maybe you just become numb and you feel like you're not here anymore. We've all all gone through that, or maybe seen someone go through such an experience. Don't forget, the experience varies from person to person. There could be this person who experiences this thing and then after a short while he is okay, but there's this person who lives in it for the rest of his or her own life. Don't go away. We are going for a very short break, and when we come back, we'll look at some of the signs of trauma. How can you tell that someone is traumatized, and also look at some of the factors that determine how a person is affected by different events, those terrible events. Don't go away. This is still West Nile TV here on The Real Talk with me, Lillian Ayot.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023, live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
This is time for working hard and producing and able to help somebody who is in need. Able to give to your loved ones. This is time for giving, for God so loved us and gave his only begotten Son. Do not go taking, give, and then you will receive. If you are planning to rob somebody, listen to me carefully, God is not happy with that. If you are planning to steal people's things, God is not happy with that. Destroy everything that makes you an enemy of your neighbor. It's only God who can destroy those tendencies in your life and that habit in your life, so that instead of taking, you are a giver, because we need to demonstrate love in our time. Again, this is not time for sexual immorality, but this is time for us to prepare ourselves to receive the blessing of God. Many of us are going to waste our bodies in going into people's homes and going with people's wives and going with people's daughters, and we are going to waste our lives out there. Listen, this is time for you to open your heart, open your hands, and receive the blessing of God. I speak to people who are listening to me. If you are listening to me and you are in West Nile, my region, will you make your body the temple of the Holy Spirit and guard it? Allow your body to be used to bless our region. Do not destroy somebody's relationship by misusing his wife or his daughter. Allow yourself to be a channel of blessing, because God brings you his life in order to bless other people. Again, this is not time for dancing the whole night. Some people are going to go into dancing spree, in discos and everything the whole night. In my place where I am seated, the devil has only given and deprived people who are wizards to dance at night. Why do they dance at night? Because they dance naked, which they can't do during the day. Why are you deprived of sleep? When you should eat and drink and praise God and go to bed and sleep, then go and worship God tomorrow without an hangover. Dancing at night, going to spend time out there with other women, with other girls, with other men, is not going to give you any benefit of celebrating such a day as this. And this is a time for praises. This is a time for worship of God, because God has given us a gift that we cannot afford.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that short break. This is still The Real Talk with me, Lillian Ayod, here on West Nile TV, and I hope you're having a very beautiful evening wherever you are. And for those who have just joined us, you are most welcome for tuning in. Don't forget, we are on Zuku channel 003, and we also stream on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Don't forget to leave a comment on today's topic of discussion, or encourage your friends to also let us know what they think about today's topic. And we are discussing trauma. Trauma. Most of you have been taking it lightly, but you don't know the kind of effect that it has on individuals. You've been seeing how people react to some events and thinking they're just overreacting, maybe overdoing, but you've not been in their shoe to experience what maybe they experienced years, days, weeks, months ago that has left them feeling like that. And then we also see people who are withdrawn sometimes, people who are confused, people who become numb, people who show anger when some things happen, or maybe they see some people who don't want to associate, with some kind of events, or maybe people who just feel like the world has ended. For me, it's done. And maybe people who lose self-esteem, confidence, people who feel they are not enough, or people who don't want. It's always, I don't want to do this, get done there, I don't want those kind of things. And that is how different people react to trauma. Some people are sad, some people, much as some people easily move on, but some people don't get the chance to move on. So this brings us to the fact that how can we tell that someone is traumatized? Here in the studio we have a mental health activist. He's called Kalisa. Michael, thank you for joining us in here today. So Michael, as we are engaging or relating with people and having seen how some people behave, I mean, you see this girl, maybe Fiona is a very cheerful girl. She's this outgoing person. She's always smiling, laughing. Then all of a sudden you see Fiona is withdrawn. Fiona is angry most of the times. She wants to be alone. So how can you tell that Fiona is traumatized, or maybe she's just going through something else? All
right. Traumatized people usually have two ways of expressing it. There is what we call acting in and acting out. Most people, especially introverts, when they're traumatized, they keep it to themselves. We call that acting in from trauma. Then acting out actually affects most people who are extroverts. Like, let me give you examples. You see the saying of hurt people hurt people. If I'm traumatized, I do not care. I become, like you said, become numb. I feel like no one cares about me, so I shouldn't care about anyone. So I can easily hurt anyone. If I'm driving a car and someone is in front of me, just knock them because I'm numbed feelings. I'm hurt, so I feel like, why shouldn't I hurt others? Now, acting in, examples of acting in could be someone who locks themselves in the room and they just sleep. They don't have motivation to go to work. Someone doesn't have motivation to even shower, brush their teeth. Someone even begins smelling. Someone used to be clean and organized. You find maybe their room is dirty, they're no longer clean. They don't care about themselves. They don't cut their hair, they don't cut their nails. That is acting in. That is, someone is trying to show, but they're not talking, which is actually more dangerous than acting out, because acting out you can tell. Someone will become angry, they're angry, outburst. Someone never used to be angry, like you said, which is easily recognizable. But acting in is very dangerous, because acting in leads to things like addiction. That's when someone starts using alcohol to kill that pain, because they can't share with you, I can't share with a friend, I can't share with family. I put all my sorrows in the bottle. I just go somewhere and sit and just drink, get drunk, go home, and because I'm doing it consistently to kill this pain which doesn't get finished, I become an addict. Another way of acting in can be depression. Haven't you had some people, I've also said it sometimes, you'll be there like, I'm stressed, I'm depressed. These are not terms to play with. Depression is a very, 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 very dangerous thing, because very many people are depressed, but they don't know they're depressed. They just think, maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm fatigued, maybe there's no money in the country, maybe I'm looking for a job, I can't find a job. But sometimes trauma leads to that depression because you're not letting it out. You're keeping it in yourself, you're acting in. And that leads to someone losing their self-esteem, because you can fear to go out there. Like, if let's say someone was raped or defiled or sexually abused, especially for girls, they might fear to go back into society, to relate to society, because they feel maybe someone knows, maybe someone is going to talk about it. Maybe I lost my virginity because I got raped. How will any other man or look at me or want to be with me? So that is acting in. Acting out is, like I said, lack of empathy. Lack of empathy, anger outbursts, you know. Inability to do everything. Like, let me give an example of a very small example. Everyone knows a Rolex seller, someone who makes Rolex, right? Yeah. So if you have this very bad person who's always happy every day, they serve you very well, then they go through a traumatic experience. Then they start dodging work, or maybe they come and the enthusiasm they used to have when they're making for you something to eat, if you see like they're withdrawn, they don't care anymore, and they're trying to show you. Acting out also leads to things like suicide. You find someone, they got rejected by a girl or by a family, or yeah, it happens a lot.
Relationships.
Yes, because you've seen people throw themselves off buildings. Yeah, a very painful experience. Now I'm going to fall down there and shatter. But because the brain is telling you it's traumatized, it's tired, you don't want to be in this world anymore, because maybe you haven't talked to someone. So to act out, you're like, I'm going to show everyone, you know what, I'm going to kill myself. So most of people actually commit suicide. It's accumulated trauma, something they've kept in there for so long that now it overwhelms them and they act out. And most times acting out is never good. Acting out can also come in terms of revenge. Revenge, whereby someone comes, we've had so many stories of, especially like soldiers. A soldier comes and maybe has been in the field for months, then he comes back home and he has rumors, hey, Michael has been coming to see your wife. Then just that trauma of feeling like, I'm worthless, I've been working so hard and my wife is, he'll come and kill the person who's a suspect, kill the wife, kill the kids and kill himself. That's all because they're acting out. They haven't gone for counseling, they haven't talked to someone, they haven't analyzed what's going on. They're just acting out because of that traumatic, unexpected thing that happened to them. So yeah, basically that's how people react to trauma.
Okay. Now that we've seen how these people react to trauma, you talked about these people who are the introverts who hardly show that they're traumatized. So how are you able to identify these people? How are you able to identify them? Because for the introverts, it's hard. Someone can come and maybe sit out here and is smiling, but I believe there are those things that can show that someone is stressed, traumatized to some point, that you're able to pick, because a lot of us miss out on some of these signs because we think everyone who smiles is okay. So from your expert point of views, what are those small details that people should pay attention to?
Yeah, what you're saying is very true, but you see, people are very different. Every human being is different, and the way we react to trauma is different according to mostly how we were raised, our background, our support system. Who do you have around you? You might find I'm in a new town, I work somewhere, but I stay there alone, I don't have any family around me. So my reaction to trauma may be different because I may keep it to myself because I have no one else to talk to. Then there are those who have everyone else to talk to, but maybe they're not comfortable. Maybe they live in a family where you don't just talk, you don't air out your views, you're supposed to keep your things to yourself, or so they grow up with that low self-esteem of, what if I talk and they say this? How to tell is, like I said, all of us are different. So if you're very close to someone, you know their natural behavior, you know they react like this to something, you know, if let's say if you cooked a certain kind of meal, they're very excited. So some of the signs show trauma are that, like, withdrawalness, like I don't care attitude, like nothing excites you, nothing makes you sad. Someone is just there, it's like they're just living for just, if I can call it that. So there is that. Then migraines, because you see, trauma is in the mind. Trauma is not the body. Trauma is whatever the mind is telling you is wrong, and the more you keep it there, the more it organizes how your body functions. So most times there's something like loss of weight. Someone lacks appetite. There's a person who, let's say that this person is a foodie, but they don't want to eat anymore, or they eat some food and they tell you I have no appetite, or others overeat. Actually, the people who react to trauma by overeating, like the only way they can forget, they just keep. So that one also leads to obesity. Then there is, I talk about insomnia, lack of sleep. Like someone used to have a very good sleep pattern, they sleep, let's say 8 hours a night, you find you sleep only 3 hours. You enter the bed at 10 and by 2 you're still there in bed, thinking, looking, and that is very bad to the growth of your whole system, you know, because the body needs to rest, but it can't rest because the mind can't settle, the mind can't get peace, and that's because of the trauma. So how you can tell someone, especially an introvert, is a change in their everyday behavior. Someone used to wake up by 7, they've gone to work, this time at 9 they're still in bed, and you're like, why aren't you going to work? You're like, why should I even work? You know? So they're not able to perform their daily activities and their daily routine as they used to before the occurrence of this traumatic incident. So that's how you can tell for introverts.
Okay.
Then for extroverts, like I said, extroverts are more outgoing people. They show it. You will see it.
So you just see
you just see like this is not normal.
This is not normal.
Right?
Yeah.
Like let's say this person who, I don't know which example to use because there's so many, because we're all different, we all have different tastes and preferences. But change.
You see these people who break things maybe
exactly
in the house.
Exactly. Someone who can come and be like, I'm going to burn, let's say, everything which is yellow in the house because when I got an accident I was putting on a yellow dress. It's trauma. It makes you do very, I'm telling you, it's a very complicated thing. There are people, like you said, who cannot go back and sit in a certain kind of car because when they were in that car, they got an accident in that car. There are people who fear the bus. Yeah. Because maybe a bus flipped, they got an accident, but this person survived. To convince them to again enter that bus, because they will have those flashbacks, those anxiety, what they call it, panic attacks, because they see this thing happening over and over again. So the change in the behavior of someone from what they used to be in their everyday life before the trauma is actually, that's the first thing you look out for.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. I hope we've all been paying attention. So that calls upon all of us to be, very attentive while interacting with our fellows. We've been asking questions, why did he commit suicide, or why did he run mad? Why is she or he suddenly withdrawn? But you've not taken your time to notice that this person is going through something that they have not been able to recover from. We've seen people who have been bullied, not wanting to see their bullies again, or maybe going back to school or wherever they have been bullied from. We've seen people who are traumatized by childbirth. You're a girl, you go into the labor ward for the very first time, then you see what's happening, then you feel like, I can never give birth. So that is just another example. We've seen people who are traumatized because they're raped, others have been kidnapped, others have escaped attacks of different kinds, and every time something similar tends to happen, they exhibit a particular behavior or emotion or signs that you can be able to tell that this person is not fine. Michael, as we go forward, are there some specific things that cause these trauma? What are some of the causes of trauma in short?
Causes. See, trauma, like I said, trauma is sudden. It's an unexpected thing, because trauma is not something which you plan for. If today when I'm leaving this place, I don't expect anything traumatic to happen. But if I reached on the road and let's say, I'm sorry to use the thing of accidents, because that's the easiest example I can use, and sound which affects people so much sometimes.
Yes.
If I walked out here, I got on a bike, then I saw a nasty accident, I saw people die that day, that could traumatize me so much that either I act out or I keep it to myself. It's just an unexpected thing. So the causes of trauma are very diverse, but I'm going to mention the most common ones. The most common ones which people face every day. I'm going to use death, loss of loved ones. This can be your family, immediate families, can be your spouse, your child, your parents, your friend. Death is inevitable in this world.
True.
All of us at some point will have to face it, but it's something which is unexpected. And some people don't get over it. Some people, it sticks with them for a really long time. So that's one of the causes of trauma. And especially if you're very close to this person and it happens when you don't expect it. You can miss trauma if, say, someone got cancer and you knew they were sick and you knew they have this much time and then they are deceased. That's what you can deal with. But let's say you send your child out there to buy something at the shops, then they tell you your kid got knocked by a car.
God forbid.
Exactly. So that is one of the biggest causes of trauma, death. Then there's abuse. Abuse, I'll delve most into sexual abuse. There's physical abuse, of course, and child labor, and abuse is abuse anyway. But especially for girls, there is sexual abuse, especially at a young age. We've had so many cases of young girls being defiled. Someone defiled a 5-year-old girl, a 6-year-old girl, a 10-year-old girl. That girl is never going to be the same again.
True.
If they do not get the counseling they need, that person's life is never going to be the same again, because it's always going to be embedded in their minds that maybe I'm not normal like others. Why did this happen to me? Why not to someone else? Maybe God doesn't love me. Maybe no one cares about me in this world. And most of these people don't get justice. They live a life where their decision making is not very good because of that trauma. You've seen most of the stories which break out these days is about ladies years later, 20 years later, 15 years later, talking about my boss abused me 20 years ago. And you wonder, this person spent 20 years keeping this thing in them. That means you've accumulated trauma for 20 years. Of course, some of the decisions you've made in life have not been good because of that accumulated maybe anger, or you've acted in by not saying anything.
For example, the recent case of this pastor TB Joshua.
Thank you very
that
much.
one.
Thank you very much. In fact, for such a time we should talk about that.
Yeah.
So there are so many believers in that pastor, and when you get the shocking news of these girls were being harassed and they could not say anything because maybe they feared the power that he was there, maybe they would lose their livelihood, maybe they would be shamed out of that church, maybe that's the comfort zone, and now they fear if I talk I'll lose everything.
Sure.
Then also, like in homes, you find an uncle is harassing maybe a niece or a niece, and this niece can't talk because they fear, what if I talk and they chase me from this family, what if he's not paying my fees? And so that is one of the biggest causes of trauma, especially for women. Sexual abuse. We've seen it different countries, different age groups. However long it takes. A woman was traumatized 20 years ago. We'll talk even in her 50s and be like, by the way, when I was in my 20s, ABC happened and I've been keeping it in myself. So we need people to open up more. We need society to feel like they can open up to someone. That's a job we do at Voice of Restoration. We listen to a lot of cases and you'll be shocked the things out there, the things people do out there. Another cause can be like you said, accidents. So again leads to death. Natural. Then there are natural disasters. Let's say what happens, like let's say in Bududa,
the landslides.
You know, like if you have your home and it's washed away by the rains and everything you ever worked for is gone, you may never recover. Some families don't recover from that because you don't know where to start from. Maybe you've put in 15 years to build this house and everything in it, then in one day everything is gone. So that's the part of unexpected and sudden in the description of trauma. Other causes, you can have war, outbreak of war. Our neighbors in Sudan there's war going on. I'm very sure there's so many people who are traumatized just by the loss of people, by just seeing people. I've never seen someone die or seen someone die in front of them or seen a lot of blood. So the causes of trauma are, we can talk about them the whole day. There's unwanted pregnancies.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's a very major one. There's unwanted pregnancies. Then on the upside there is a miscarriage. This could be a wanted pregnancy, but then you can have miscarriage. That can also cause trauma.
That's deep. We've seen women who have gone through that over and over.
Yes.
Each time she conceives and then she's all worried. She just has that, I'm going to lose the baby again.
Lose the baby, yes. And so that's why it's a very many things. Some are even more personal. Some are betrayal. Let's say betrayal happens especially in a family unit. You're betrayed by your children, by your husband, by your wife, by your sister. That alone can traumatize you. Let's say you've seen cases where people go out there to work to do cheo. Someone goes, let's say, to Oman or Dubai or wherever to work. Then they're sending money, let's say, to a sister or a brother, hoping maybe this person went by land, construct for them a house, buy whatever they need, or maybe take care of their parents and everything. Then this person comes back after, let's say, 4 years of working, and they reach here and nothing has happened. That alone can shock someone to lose it, because you've put in your 4 years, you've trusted someone, and then you come back and there is nothing on ground. So the causes of trauma are so many.
We could talk about it today till tomorrow and all that. But thank you for putting out those causes clearly to our viewer. I hope you've gotten every point that he has put out. This discussion is very important because it's going to help you as an individual. It's going to help me as an individual, or maybe it's going to help me be in position to help someone who needs the kind of help that they're not getting out there. I know most of us take the word trauma so easily because maybe you've never experienced it, or maybe you've just seen someone experience it and you've not taken it serious. But we're going for a short break, and when we come back we'll be able to look at some of those diverse effects that trauma can have on an individual. Mind you, mark this point, it's sometimes it's not the individual who suffers this trauma, sometimes it's the entire family or the entire circle of friends who gets to experience this trauma. How? We'll get to find out after this short break. Don't go away. And for those who are not catching us on Zuku channel 03, you can stream us on our Facebook and on YouTube. Don't go away.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on StarTimes. StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023, live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that break. This is West Nile TV and this is The Real Talk with me, Lillian Ayota. You are most welcome to the Real Talk family. If this is your first time, every Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m. we are here on West Nile TV. You can stream us on YouTube and also our Facebook. Let us know what you think about today's topic. Let us know about your experience or maybe something that someone has experienced, how you helped them, how people can deal with trauma, specifically today, since we are talking about trauma. I believe all of us, if not most of us, have had any that traumatic experience. How did you overcome it, or how are you dealing with it as an individual? We are also on Zuku channel 003. Don't forget, do share to your friends as much as possible, because we want to share this information and also help each other. And today, thank you so much, Kalisa Michael, for joining us on today's episode. He's from the Voice of Restoration. They help people who are undergoing trauma or dealing with some traumatic experiences in their life. And having had a lot of discussion about what trauma is, the signs and symptoms, how you can tell. And now I know the questions you may be asking right now are too many, but one of them could be that who is affected by trauma? Is there any age limit, or maybe any age group that is specifically affected by trauma? Is it discriminative? I believe it's what many people out there want to know. So do children also experience trauma, or it's only adults, or it's just a children's thing? Help us know.
Trauma affects everyone, every age group, from the time a child can understand, by the time a child can comprehend what's going on around in their society, to the time when,
Okay, let me cut you short. Is a baby's first cry a sign of trauma?
No. It could be in a funny of they're shocked to be in a different environment, so they cry because they're used to being in there. So they come out, maybe that's the first sign of, oh, I'm into the world, and maybe it's some sort of trauma, but it's not bad trauma.
Okay.
Bad trauma is, you see, it affects people more if it's from childhood, because as you come into the world, what the world shows you is what you think the world is. So let's say a kid has just begun walking, a kid of like, I'm talking about the ages of, let's say 1.5 to 6 years. That's what we call a child who has not comprehended with the world a lot, but can see what's going on in their environment. So when this child is traumatized at a very young age, that's likely to affect them for the rest of their lives, unlike someone who gets affected by something traumatic when you're, let's say, in your 40s. Because in your 40s you've seen life, you've experienced life, life has toughened you enough to deal with certain experiences. But when you're younger, you've not dealt with anything. You're anxious about this life, and if some bad things are happening, you're likely not to be a happy person for a very long time unless you get proper counseling and guidance and help through life. So your question again was if trauma is age specific.
Yeah.
It is not age specific, but it affects younger people more because of their lower level of development in terms of maturity and experience of life. Let's say from the ages of like 1 to 5, when a kid is traumatized, their reactions could be something like bedwetting.
Oh.
Yes. There are kids who bedwet up to an abnormal age, up to like 10 years, this kid is still bedwetting.
15
or 15 years. This comes from childhood. If, let's say, something traumatic happened, let's say this child saw the father and mother fighting every day, the child is seeing the mother beating the father, this child is scared. When the father comes, whichever part of the family is mistreating this person, it could be stepmother, could be the father, could be the mother, could be whoever is the guardian to this child, whoever is responsible for this child is responsible for raising that kid. So when the child is traumatized by that, most of their reactions are, most of them are inward, because the child is not yet ready to express themselves. So you find children who suck their thumbs because they can't say anything. You ask a kid a question and he's just sucking the thumb. You find a kid who just wets the bed, and you ask them what happens and they do not know. That's a sign of trauma. That's a sign of something off about their well-being and how their brain coordinates with their body. You find children who are too clingy. You find the kids who, as soon as they're given a chance, they want to go and run and play and everything. But there's this child who just wants to be near the mother the whole time. Even the mother to go and play, but this child doesn't want to leave. Maybe holds onto the leg. If the mother is going away, it starts crying. It is normal for a child to miss their mom, yes, but then there's when it becomes clingy, and that's a sign of there's something off. There's something this child is scared of. That's why they cling to like their mom, because they feel that's the person who can protect them the most. Then there is overplayfulness and lack of concentration. See, as children, their concentration level is already low, but there's when they are traumatized that they lose focus on anything, because they know whatever they do, they won't be appreciated. Let's say your kid goes to school and is a second class, then you beat. Instead of telling them to do better, you just beat. I've wasted my money on you, I've wasted my fees on you. So this kid won't concentrate on anything in life. They will feel, whatever I do, I'm going to be beaten anyway. So that's how it affects the young child. Then for teenagers become, like the older you grow now, you're moving into teenage. So you feel a bit mature. Yeah. So their reactions are not going to be wetting the bed or being clingy to mommy or daddy. They will be delinquent. They will start vandalizing things. Let's say kids in school will begin strikes. Usually the person who is leading that
become bullies.
Exactly. A bully is always bullied at home. No one wants to be a bully. A child is an innocent soul. But by the time this child comes and wants to impact pain on another child, that means there's pain they're getting from somewhere, and there's no way of this is acting out. So in acting out, they come and also bully other kids, because maybe they're being bullied at home, maybe they're not being given enough love at home. Then there's competition with younger siblings. You find in a family there's favoritism. A stepmother favors her kids more than the kids that they found in this family. So the other kids feel less. So there's that competition, and it's never healthy. It's never healthy competition, and it can lead people to reach extreme levels to hurting themselves.
Yeah.
And then there's risky sexual behavior. This again comes back to the part of people who are sexually abused, and they don't talk about it, they don't get right help. Sometimes, especially for girls, they believe maybe I'm meant to be a sex machine. If my uncle can come and abuse me and no one does anything, my dad comes and abuses me, no one can do anything, my relatives come and abuse me, no one does anything. So even when this person goes to society and a boy comes and is like, well, I want to have sex, they will just do it. So I don't want to delve away from the point of is trauma age specific. All I'm saying, the older you go, especially when you reach the age of above 18, you've seen enough, you've experienced at least enough of life to absorb some of the traumatic things. Some things don't affect you as much. That's why I'm saying, for older people, you find like it's at a funeral, the older people will be organizing everything, because maybe they've been to more than one funeral. But for a child, it is different, because maybe this is a first experience. So trauma affects every age, but the levels at which it affects at different ages is varies. Yes.
So that brings us to a point, like you said, it varies from age group to age group. So what are those factors that determine the level to which a person is affected by trauma?
The factors, let's say, mostly they are not written in stone, but I can explain to them in a more open way.
Oh, great.
The first one can be closeness to the event which caused this traumatic experience. I really like using this example because it's very relatable. But going back to an accident, especially a car accident. If as in a public service vehicle, let's say a matatu or taxi, and there was an accident and maybe I'm the only survivor there, but I'm not close to any of the people who are in that car. I'm not related to them. They were just passengers. The way I'm affected by this may not be very different the way it affects me if I knew these people and if I didn't know these people. So closeness to the event. Then the unexpectedness of the event, the level of unexpectedness. Like I said, death is one of the things which traumatize people a lot. So let's say you have a family member and they are diagnosed with a disease, let's say cancer. You have enough time to prepare. You have enough time to know, by the way, this person is sick, we're going to get them help. They may not make it, so mentally you're ready for this person to go out of this world, but so the trauma won't be as much as if you come one day and they tell you this person slept and they didn't wake up. You have so many questions. Why? Could I have done something? Or should I have come and checked on them? Should I have come and done this? Why didn't I ask enough questions? So the trauma hits you different according to the level of unexpectedness of the event, the closeness of the event, and then the magnitude of the event. In this I can talk in terms of let me use gambling.
Okay.
There are people who gamble. I don't gamble, but people gamble.
Talk to us about BLQ.
Yes. So someone can gamble. I don't use sports betting. There's even bigger gambling than that. You can go and gamble. Someone assures you you're going to win this money. You have your last money. You put it in expecting to get something. You get. So if you lose everything, trust me, you're most likely to lose it. And it depends on how much you've lost, the magnitude of how much you've lost.
We had stories of people who lost their money with this BLQ, the betting something. You know, these people just closed all of a sudden, and some people had millions, and people reacted differently to those events. Families, people broke up, and some committed suicide, which is so unfortunate. Anyway, I just had to bring that in.
Then the thing of magnitude, I have to first place it, I have to shed more light on it.
Yeah.
The magnitude of the shock of this event, because trauma is like, we have to stick on this, it is sudden. Trauma is never planned. It is a shocking thing, something you don't expect. Like we can be in this studio right now and let's say there's a hurricane and the roof goes away and maybe you lose an arm. That can affect you for the rest of your life, because every time maybe it rains, you're scared because what if it happens again? You have flashbacks, you have panic attacks. So the magnitude of the event of trauma affects so much how, like you've heard of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
Now, to bring the magnitude, to bring the point of magnitude of the event of trauma, let's say I'm going to use war. If in war you lose your whole family and you're alone in this world, there are very, very, very many chances that if you do not get help, you're either going to end up feeling like taking your own life, or you're going to live a life of hurting others because you feel like it's unfair that it happened to you, not others. Then let's say if you're in a land dispute and they took half your land and left with the other half. Yes, you may be traumatized because you've lost some money, but then you still have something, you still have life with you, you still have a family around you. So the magnitude of that event affects how the trauma affects you as a person. Then the duration of the event. This one I'm going to use abuse, whether it's child abuse, whether it is gender-based violence, whether it is sexual abuse. The longer it goes on, the more you'll be traumatized. Let's say, like I said, a person who does child labor, a child who, instead of going to school, they are told you stay at home, you're going to do work here, or you have to first do all the work at home because maybe you're a stepchild and your step siblings go to school before you stay at home. So the duration of how long this goes on. Defilement and sexual abuse. Like we said in the beginning, there are three types of trauma. There's acute, chronic, and complex. So if it's acute and it happens to you once, you may be able to get over it and talk to someone, get counseling, come to us and we give you counseling, and you go through it. But if it occurs repetitively, let's say every week, 3 days in that week, you're getting abused, your level of trauma cannot be the same as someone to whom it happened once. Because for you, you even become numb to it. You're like, you know what, it's Friday, I know this guy is about to come and do this. So you become numb, and it's very unhealthy for you because See, the hate you keep inside is what you keep inside you is what you give out to other people.
Okay.
And there's a saying by a famous musician who passed away, was called Tupac. He said, the hate you give little infants, in the end, affects everybody. If a child is brought up in an environment of hate and abuse and no love, when they grow up, no matter if they make it or if they don't make it, they will always give back what they were given as a child. That is why this thing of trauma sometimes can come and affect you in future because of an event which happened when you're young. You could be abused when you're, let's say, 6 to 8 years. Then everything is okay for the next 10 years. Then one thing triggers you. Someone maybe mishandles you the way the person mishandled you 10 years ago, and that brings it back. So trauma can also be triggered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Having looked at that, what are the factors that affect the magnitude to which you are affected by trauma? Now let's zero down to, the effects of a traumatic experience on an individual, because you've seen people. You clearly said a person who has experienced trauma once, a traumatic event once, cannot have the same magnitude as someone who has been exposed to trauma maybe twice, thrice, or maybe 10 times. The magnitude is never the same, and the effects, I believe, are never the same. Could be the same, but also the magnitude varies. So let's see how trauma affects an individual, or maybe how different traumatic experiences affect an individual, and also how it gets to affect people in the community and people close to them. Let's say their friends, family members, people they relate with in schools and various institutions.
Oh, right.
The effects, yes.
So effects.
But before that, have you been traumatized?
I have been traumatized, not extremely, not
Okay.
chronically or complexly, but of course.
What effect did it have on you?
If I could say I was traumatized, it happened when I was younger, as in school, and you've heard of school fires.
Yeah.
Yes. So when I was younger,
A very unfortunate experience.
yes, it happened to me twice. When I was in senior one, my dormitory got burned. Like 2 weeks into the first term, our dormitory gets burned, and I was anxious to get into school, and everything of mine just goes. So it may not have been a very, very deep, but even then, we were lucky enough that we got counselors to talk to us and tell us these things happen, and we let that go. 4 years later, when I'm in A level, again, my dormitory gets banned. But this time when it got banned, we were in senior 6, and we were 2 months to the end to do our final exams of UNEB. So all our notes, all our books were banned, and some of us were traumatized. Some people even failed to do the exams that year because they felt like, imagine all your books getting banned 2 months to finish A level. Yeah, so I can't say it was very horrific, but all of us in small bits. My trauma may not be as big as yours, but it's trauma anyway. You can't minimize that yours is a bigger trauma than mine, so for you, you're better than me, and me, I'm better than you. No, but all of us have experienced those small moments where they tell you you've lost someone, and you're like, oh my God, it traumatizes you for like a week. But then if you experience it the right way, if you let it out the right way, if you don't just act out or act in, trauma can actually be dealt with and you move on. It's when you don't deal with it, when actually trauma becomes trauma when you don't deal with it. Yeah, if you deal with it, then it's part of life. Life happens and bad things happen. So you can live through it.
So let's deal with let's talk about the undealt with trauma that different people experience. The effect it has on them.
Effects of trauma, they are various depending on the type of trauma. Like I said, so many things can cause trauma in this world. Let's talk about relationships. Yes, this is.
I know here almost everyone can relate to
everyone can relate
this
to
kind of trauma.
Yes, yes, yes. So relationships can be most times what causes trauma in relationship is betrayal. Betrayal means that's when people cheat. That's when people are promiscuous, or maybe people. I don't know. I've not been traumatized by a relationship, but all I know is it's always from betrayal and mistrust and rejection. Because as much as relationships end and people are traumatized by the end of the relationships, sometimes not getting the person you want makes you feel inappropriate. Let's say if I'm hitting on a girl and I've done everything, I've done all my best, but I'm still being rejected, that can lead some people to feel unworthy. Be like, I've done everything, why can't she see me? Or why can't he see me? So people lose that self-confidence, they lay back and they become numb. Others react and go and hurt other people. Like,
especially these people who have gone through one heartbreak to another. Like every time you go into a relationship, someone breaks your heart. You go into another one, someone breaks your heart. You go into another one, someone breaks your heart. In short, that is the story of some people's relationship.
Exactly. Then the others who revenge. If I hit on Lillian rejects me, but I have someone else who likes me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm also going to punish the other part. Like I said, hurt people. Then there's an example I really wanted to bring. I'm forgetting it. Have you seen trauma from people who get sick through sexual relations, risky sexual relations?
Yes.
Someone, especially I'm going to use AIDS. Someone gets sick from maybe someone they trusted. A partner brings this disease into the relationship. And AIDS on its own is a traumatic experience. Most people, when they find out that thing, they feel like life has ended. But somehow they deal with that trauma is they do the revenge. That is acting out. You revenge. You're like, you know what? If this person brought it to me, I'm also going to give it to whoever. Are you seeing how trauma now has led to an effect on people who are innocent? But if this person could deal with it, come and talk to a counselor, come and talk to a family member, talk to an elder in a family, talk to your brother, talk to your sister, talk to someone before you go out there and it affects other people. Like, hurt people always hurt people. So traumatized people, trust me, they'll put trauma on other people. If I came here and I'm traumatized and I kept telling you stories of how traumatized I am, in the end you're going to get traumatized too, because you're going to keep listening to all my negative energy, and in the end our energy will be collectively negative. So the effects of keeping it in, keeping the trauma without tackling it, are bigger and affect society even more. Imagine a leader. If you have a member of parliament, you have an LC5, and a leader in any position, right?
Yes.
If this leader doesn't have a clear mind to serve his people, if they're traumatized by something, trust me, in their leadership, in their decision making, whatever traumatized them will always affect their decision making. I'll give you an example of, let's look at a society like, I'm going to go outside Uganda, a society like, I'm going to use our neighboring country, Rwanda, where you've had two tribes clashing, right?
Yes.
So the tribe which got clashed on and kept this trauma, if these people are not cancelled, because one of the best examples in dealing with trauma is the situation which happened in Rwanda. This country went through almost 10 years of people just being cancelled. They came back together and they used to have these small meetings where you come and the family which came and killed your family, you sit down and you talk. You forgive and you, because this thing is done now. How do we move forward? But if people are allowed to keep all that anger inside, this thing will happen again. Let's say, if you've seen, most traumatic experiences actually come from inside the family.
For example, the recent, may his soul rest in peace, the late Dr. Biriga, who was just murdered by, his wife. That's why everyone has reacted to the situation. People are angry, people are pouring out their heart, and anyway, I don't know how the children or the family is really holding up, but yeah.
Very, 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 very true. This is another example which is going on right now. One Mr. Katanga, who had a quarrel with his wife. The wife shot him dead. Then the daughters came and cleared the evidence before they called the police. This is a running case. It's now in High Court. But all this comes from inside the family. You wonder, how does a mother, a father, and their children end up killing themselves, and everyone is disorganized? So most of the people who bring trauma to us are people we care about. That's why I said that the closeness to the person involved in this event. I cannot be affected by someone I don't care about if they told me, you don't look smart, no one likes you. I don't care about you, so your opinion may not matter as much. But if someone close to me, a family member came and did the same thing to me, it would hurt me more. That is why I tell you, most trauma begins from inside the family. Okay,
let me cut you a bit short as we go for a short break and then come back and continue from where we have stopped from. For you who has just joined us for this discussion, this is Real Talk, and we are tackling trauma today. That one experience, that bad experience that you don't want to experience again, maybe something that someone is going through that is affecting their life so much. And when we come back, trauma can be treated, by the way. So when we come back, we'll see how to help these people who are traumatized, or you yourself, or a friend or family member who is traumatized, how they can seek help, or how you can support them. Don't go away. This is West Nile TV, Real Talk with me, Lilian Ayod. See you after the break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on StarTimes. StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023, live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
This is time for working hard and producing and able to help somebody who is in need. Able to give to your loved ones. This is time for giving, for God so loved us and gave his only begotten Son. Do not go taking, give, and then you will receive. If you are planning to rob somebody, listen to me carefully, God is not happy with that. If you are planning to steal people's things, God is not happy with that. Destroy everything that makes you an enemy of your neighbor. It's only God who can destroy those tendencies in your life and that habit in your life, so that instead of taking, you are a giver, because we need to demonstrate love in our time. Again, this is not time for sexual immorality, but this is time for us to prepare ourselves to receive the blessing of God. Many of us are going to waste our bodies in going into people's homes and going with people's wives and going with people's daughters, and we are going to waste our lives out there. Listen, this is time for you to open your heart, open your hands, and receive the blessing of God. I speak to people who are listening to me. If you are listening to me and you are in West Nile, my region, will you make your body the temple of the Holy Spirit and guard it? Allow your body to be used to bless our region. Do not destroy somebody's relationship by misusing his wife or his daughter. Allow yourself to be a channel of blessing, because God brings you his life in order to bless other people. Again, this is not time for dancing the whole night. Some people are going to go into dancing spree, in discos and everything the whole night. In my place where I am seated, the devil has only given and deprived people who are wizards to dance at night. Why do they dance at night? Because they dance naked, which they can't do during the day. Why are you deprived of sleep? When you should eat and drink and praise God and go to bed and sleep, then go and worship God tomorrow without a hangover. Dancing at night, going to spend time out there with other women, with other girls, with other men, is not going to give you any benefit of celebrating such a day as this. And this is a time for praises. This is a time for worship of God, because God has given us a gift that we cannot afford.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us here on West Nile TV this beautiful Saturday, the second Saturday of January. Of course, Happy New Year to anyone who has just joined us, and welcome to the Real Talk family. Every Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m. here we have discussions on various topics, looking at problems facing us and also how we can find solutions together. Of course, we also engage you on our social media handles, that is on our Facebook and our YouTube channel, so that we also get to know exactly what you think about a particular topic that we are discussing. And today, talking about trauma, I know we have those stories to tell about maybe the kind of trauma we faced, how we tackled it, and how we are living with it, or maybe overcoming it right now, because that comment or story you have to tell can help someone out there overcome something that they have been struggling with for so many reasons. And also how you can tell from amongst your circle of friends or families how someone is experiencing trauma that they are not talking about, or how they are putting it out there, trying to deal with it alone, and how you can help them, where to refer them, and also support them where necessary. And one this kind of trauma most people have gone through, and it has affected them. By the way, trauma has a very long-term effect if not dealt with very well. Much as some people easily get away with, deal with it, some people don't. They live with it for years and years. Some people die with the kind of trauma that they faced. Specifically talking about the childhood trauma today, would like to talk about a girl who, you know, she experienced this as a girl, watching her parents fight, you know, her father beating up her mother, and so it left a lot of things in her. She grew up with low self-esteem issues, and the way she looked at men changed right from childhood. And I believe in her adulthood, there's a way she looks at men is different, and she has no desires of getting married, if I may say. This is one person who feels like if she gets married to a man, he's going to do the same thing. Or maybe this is someone who exhibits anger towards men. Every time she sees a man cheating on a woman, maybe beating a woman or treating a woman in a way that her father treated her mother, she gets angry automatically. So she feels like that's where the phrases of like men are trash come in. And we've had girls who were raped when they were still little, and they grew up with that that, you know, when every time someone tries to get sexual with them, those images keep flashing, and they fear, they fall back as someone breaks down really bad. And we also have these kids who cannot express themselves because you grew up with everyone telling you you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, so it sticks into their head. And we also see these people who have been heartbroken, you know, several times, and you move into a new relationship, they break your heart, you go to the next hoping things will be fine, the same story keeps on repeating themselves. So that kind of trauma, like I already said, these people exhibit some kind of behavior or signs towards men. When you talk about relationship, they're like, it's not my thing. So we'll have our guest here in the studio. He's called Michael Kalisa, for you who has just joined us. So what do you have to say about those kinds of childhood trauma and relationship trauma?
Before we went for the break, I was talking about how most trauma begins from those closest to us, because it's the person you care about the most who will hurt you the most. Someone you don't and you're not very close to won't hurt you as much. So when you're hurt as a child, this means the people supposed to take care of you, to bring you in this world, for you to understand the world in a normal, clear way, have hurt you when you're at a very young stage. This is going to affect you for the rest of your life. Like you said, if a child is not felt to feel confident, if every time they try to air out their views at home, they are put down, or they are told, for you don't talk, or for you, you're never good enough, or for you, you'll never be this, or maybe they're a stepchild in a family and they tell them you don't belong. This child will grow up with that feeling in their mind and in their heart and in everything they do, that they are less than everyone else, they are less of themselves. So even when they grow up, even the decisions they do, they will lose that self-confidence to even achieve their potential. Let me give you an example of a child who is, let's say, a good footballer when they're young, but they are bullied off the pitch. They are told, for you can't play with us because maybe your family is like this and that. That's a person who has failed natural talent because of something very small. That trauma alone will be like, I hate football. And you could find this person could have been a very great sportsman. Then the thing you're saying of how these days everyone says men are trash, fear women, all these things come from traumatized people, because there are very many happy families, there are very many happy couples, happy marriages, people are in love and they're very happy. Those are examples to show that men are not trash, women are not trash, relationships are not trash. But it's for the traumatized people who look at it badly. If I've been rejected every time I try to hit on a girl, in the end, I will never ever think that women are all that. If I got betrayed by a girl, if I was cheated on by a girl I really cared about, over and over, I got into another relationship, my view of what love is, of what happiness or what a relationship should be, will be different from someone who actually experiences real normal love. Because as much as we say all these things, men are trash, all men are the same, we are not all the same. The people who are actually very happy, the people who are examples of stable, upright relationships in this society. It's the ones who are traumatized who usually bring out that notion. Like there's a saying of every happy family is the same, but every unhappy family has different reasons why they are unhappy.
Okay, interesting. So for those who have experienced childhood trauma, I know you have gotten through that trauma, and there's some people who are still battling with it. All we can say is we pray that you get the help that you need to your past, and it's going to affect you in very many ways. Having said that, let's look at how someone can deal with trauma. These experiences that they feel is way beyond them. Someone holding on to something in the past, someone still, you know, fearing maybe some things. For example, there are people who don't watch fireworks, who don't go for fireworks simply because they experienced something. Maybe in the previous year an accident happened and all that. So how can people deal with trauma?
The very first thing to do, especially if you know you're traumatized and there's nothing, or you feel like there's no one who can help you get through it, I would advise you that the very first thing when someone is traumatized is do not keep it to yourself. The very first mistake is we think we can handle trauma. The reason it's called trauma is because your body it's unexpected to it. Otherwise, if it was like a small headache, to be a headache and go away. Trauma is not a headache. Trauma is something that, however much you hide, one day it will come out. So how to take care of a traumatized person is get them to talk, get them to open up, get them to get counseling. Talk to someone close to you. All of us, no matter how detached you are from maybe your family or people, you have that one person you trust. If you don't trust human beings, go higher, talk to God. Go to church, talk to a priest. Come to us as Voice of Restoration. Go to someone who doesn't know you or won't judge you and express to them what you're feeling so that you get it off your chest. You see, to get over trauma, especially like there's post-traumatic stress disorder. There are 4 phases. First is denial. Most times when trauma happens, we deny. Especially you've seen when someone dies and you get the bad news of lost this person. People are like, no, he can't be dead. He cannot die. He had this and this, he was very healthy yesterday, but he's gone. Or she's gone. So, first, if you understand the 4 stages to get away from trauma, is after denial, people get angry. That is the system. After you've denied, then you realize, oh my God, it has happened. Now you get angry. Why did it happen? What could I have done to make it better? What could I have done to prevent this thing from happening? So, first of all, you deny because you haven't talked to anyone. You're angry because you refuse to believe something which already happened.
And you have no control
and you have no
over it.
control over it. Now, after anger, we go into depression. That's the 4th stage. After denial, then you become angry. Now you get depressed because now it has hit home. That, oh my God, I can no longer be angry about this. I can no longer deny that it didn't happen. Now it has happened. Now you're in depression. Now the depression part, that is usually where you need to seek help. Because denial is normal. Being angry at a traumatic situation or occurrence is normal. But when you get into the phase of depression, that's when now it's bad. The final stage is acceptance or forgiveness. But now what we come in is you get counseling and guidance services to avoid you from getting depression, and also to accept and forgive yourself or forgive those who led to the occurrence of this thing, this event which led to trauma, and you move forward. So understanding those 4 steps to get over trauma is very important, especially for a traumatized person. Again, I said denial, anger, depression, acceptance. Now, if in the process of denial and anger and depression, because it will not last one day, it's not going to be a phase that will happen one day and it's over. There are several things you could do. One, avoid being alone. The one thing a traumatic person should do is avoid being alone, because when you're alone, that's when all the thoughts come. Do I belong here? Am I worth it? Do I deserve to be here? Can kill myself. I don't
That's
know.
how someone ends up committing suicide.
Exactly. Because of time, I would have brought in a story of a friend of mine who found in his room. He had put the noose up, but he was seated down. The noose was up, but he was contemplating, should I not? And first we just came to visit and we were like, boss, what's up? And he told us the truth later that if you guys hadn't come in the next 1 hour, I'd made the decision. But then later on, when we went to talk to him and understand why he had reached that point, it was a very small issue. So an issue was solved that very day. But when he was alone, he felt overwhelmed. He felt like, you know what? Because when you're overwhelmed by trauma, you forget those who can help you. You forget that there are always people around you who can solve this small problem, which to you seems impossible. Another way to deal with trauma is meditate. Pray. If you're a prayerful person, pray to your God. There are those who fast. But meditation is very good. Meditation is good because you get to analyze everything. Why trauma is because we try to hide it away from reality. We try to keep it that side, tap and just sweep it under the carpet. No. To deal with trauma, you have to deal with it direct. And if you can't deal with it direct, you have to face it head on. Because this is a beast you have to fight head on, and otherwise it's going to keep following you forever and ever. So meditate, pray. For those who are spiritual, exercise. Exercise is a very, very therapeutic thing.
It's underrated.
It's very underrated. Wake up in the morning, just wake up 3 days a week and just run, just jog, and you feel like you've removed so much of your chest. Then do things you love. The people who love to cook, and it's therapy to them. Cook if you have to cook. Call a few friends and cook and get it off your chest. The people who love to clean, you find someone for them when they're cleaning, it's therapy for them. So do something which appeals to your good side, which appeals to your positive energy. Make sure
and
you
if you love eating, please eat if it's going to help you to eat.
But don't again overeat. It's also not healthy. Anything done in extremes is never good.
Yeah.
Whether you're overeating, even if you drink water and you're excessively doing it, I don't think it's good. So just do everything in moderation, but do the things you love.
Okay, as we this has been on the individual, so how can the family members support such a person who is traumatized? Because most times it's so unfortunate that the family members don't actually notice that this person is traumatized, or maybe they do but they don't pay attention, like they take it lightly. So how can the family members and close friends support such a person?
Okay. How family members and friends, first of all, like you said, family members and friends, these are people who are close to the person being affected. So they probably know their life patterns, their routines. So look at those things that have changed in this person. This person used to be interested in football. Even if there's a football match, they're the ones running, they're putting on their jersey to go and watch a football match. But this time there's a match and they're not interested. This is a person who would be interested if there's an event. He's a person who's organizing things. But this time there's an event and the person is laid back. Look at those changes, and the very first thing I keep saying, talk to this person. Get this person to open up and tell you what's going on. Because trauma only comes out if you open up about it. The people the people in this world who are very positive people. Find someone never gets angry. Something very bad happens, but they have this attitude of, you know what? This is life, let's talk about it, it's over, let's move forward. Then there is people who are very stingy on small things. Those are people who are very sad. You find someone is just sad and you ask them why you're sad and they do not know why. So you have to have a clean heart. And now how family can help such a person is be your brother's keeper. All of us need to check on each other. We live in the age of information. Everyone has a phone, even if it's not a smartphone. You have a way of communicating. Check on your people. Check on your siblings. Check on each other. Family is called family because those are people who you depend on the most. They're the first people who bring you into this world, and when you live in this world, the people who will escort you out of this world. So families check on each other, especially parents. Notice the changes in your kids. Talk to your kids. Allow your children to express themselves. In African society, we never allow our children to express themselves. Like the earlier generations, maybe now the now generation, people are more expressive because it's the age of information.
Yeah.
But like before, when you're younger, you don't even have an opinion.
You don't.
When people are sitting and discussing for you, shut up or go away. Don't talk.
It was just, regarded as a disrespect to talk.
But it's not really disrespect. It's teaching someone to learn to express themselves, so that in case they're ever in trouble, they don't fear to talk. Most of these things come from fear, which is brought about by family. You could be having a small problem, but you're like, how will I tell my father? How will I tell my mother? How will I tell my big brother? How will I tell my big sister? But if you grow up in a family where you can talk, where you check on each other, those things will never happen. And I'll go back to this thing of every happy family is the same.
Oh.
And it doesn't. This has nothing to do with economic well-being. Happiness is just happiness.
Happiness is happiness.
Happiness
Well,
is happiness.
we'll take that the way it is. So as family members, we should pay attention to our children, our aunties, our uncles, even your mother and your father. They could also need your help. You need to see how the mood changes and how they react to certain things. And also now, having talked about that, let's talk about about the institutions. Where can people get help? I mean, I have a sister or brother who is traumatized. Where can I take this person to seek help? Are there hospitals? Are there centers to help such people cope with such trauma?
Oh yes, there are places to go. Personally, I work as Voice of Restoration, but this is here in Arua. And
where are you located?
We're located at Anyafio Road, after Anyafio Primary School.
Okay, not far from here.
Not far from here. I'll leave my contact in case anyone wants any type of help. But countrywide or otherwise, or wherever you are, the two places I would recommend, the first places to go, especially for cases to do with violence, abuse, you need to go to the police. Police, because they have a section which is not for criminal offenses. There's a section which deals with family and trauma, and there's always a counselor there. If you're in an area where there's no organization like ours which professionally works in counseling and dealing with traumatic or mental health experiences, the nearest place I could tell you, go to a police or go to a health center. Every health center has to have a counselor. There has to be someone to counsel people who are going through traumatic experiences. A mother giving birth and loses a child needs counseling. A person who comes to hospital and checks their blood and they find out they have AIDS needs counseling. So for those who are not near, like say urban centers, or can access professionals, hospital, police, but the very first people you go to is family.
Okay.
Family, or the person you're close to. It may not even be family, because maybe some of our families are complicated.
Yeah, some people prefer talking to other people than their family.
Talk to actually I should put it like this: talk to that one person you yourself trust. It may be a friend, it may be a distant relative,
a teacher, a mentor.
Thank you very much. Your boss, someone you know, I can confide in this person.
Okay, thank you very much. Our time is almost done here, but we don't want to leave without you putting out your last word to our viewer. What is that one message that you don't want the viewer to, the viewer to take home as we conclude this show?
The one thing I would want the viewer to take home is read about mental health. Take this thing seriously, because if you see the focus of the world these days, everything happening in the world is from decisions made by very few people. 1 million people depend on a decision made by 10 people. If these 10 people are mentally okay and they're thinking straight, they'll make a right decision for this community. But if 2 of those people are traumatized and they're the ones making decisions for 1 million people, are you seeing out now a trauma of one person is affecting people who are not even concerned. So the one thing I would want everyone to, all the viewers to do, is look inside yourself, look inside your family, look at those small changes which you never used to see, and don't get scared, because mental health is curable. Okay. Mental health is not cancer. Mental health is very curable, and let's not have prejudice on people. Because someone is depressed, don't say they got bewitched or no one cares about them. Let's love each other, let's look out, let's be our brother's keeper, and take mental health very seriously. Okay,
you could leave your contact.
My contact is 0770 473979.
Okay, and I hope you took a note of his contact. Thank you so much, Michael Kalisa, for joining us on this show. And I'm optimistic it's going to help a lot of people out there. Personally, I have benefited from this discussion. There are a lot of things that I'm going to put into consideration. And if you know someone who is undergoing trauma, you can refer them to where he said, to the police, to these centers, health centers. They also have sections where they handle such people. But above all, be able to open up to someone. Don't die alone. Imagine having a problem that you feel is overwhelming you, is so big, but then you could solve it out with people around you. We have people on YouTube and on Facebook who are catching us, who have put out their thoughts. We have Amanyara Alan on YouTube. Thank you so much. I've gotten your comment and thank you very much. We have Twaha, merci beaucoup. Thank you for catching us. We have Adrico Patrick, who says, I'm watching live from Barara City, Nyamitanga. Thanks so much. Greetings to all my guys at Druye, Young City, Boda stage. Mom Duku Florence, Bro Savior in Druye. Not forgetting my family, relatives from Omoye of the late Jacinto Eto. Thank you so much. That is Adrico Patrick and each and everyone who has stayed with us till the end of this show. Don't forget, we are on Star Times and Zuku, channel 003. We always stream on Facebook and on YouTube. This is The Real Talk with me, Lillian Ayota. From us to you, have a very lovely evening, and a very special thanks to our director, producer Elliot, and we also have our producer Bonnie for this show. Thank you so much. Have a blessed night. Don't go away.